It's a pleasure to see you here, and it's exciting to see a room full of people that are excited to learn more about SAP and manufacturing. I know it's the last session for today on this stage this year, but I promise we will make the best out of it. I'm Diana. I'm a partner sales solution architect at AWS, and together with our customer Clariant, we will tackle a challenge that many of you might be facing today. And this is how to actually make SAP drive the real business impact. But before we start and before we dive deeper into this topic, I would like to give you some context. I started my early career as a functional consultant, FICO consultant in SAP. So I remember when I was helping customers redefine their processes in finance and controlling, SAP was a very rigid system. It was powerful, but it was rigid. So I remember my manager was saying, don't change your running system. This is, of course, because customers were always focused on first stabilizing their operations and then thinking about innovation. Well, now actually, this is the biggest risk because companies today need to shift their perspective. Standing still is the biggest risk. Now, ERP can't just run in this fast-paced environment. It has to lead. And the question is, can your ERP keep up? Well, for Clariant, the answer is obviously yes, but only by reinventing SAP on AWS. And today, this is exactly what we are going to explore, how to embrace challenge and scale it, exactly like Clariant did. Well, we are lucky actually to have an amazing set of speakers today. And I will start with Corbinian, who is the head of partner architecture at AWS. I'm Diana, partner sales solution architect. And from the Clariant side, we are joined by Cemik, the head of IT operations and technology, and Thomas, who is the senior IT manager of SAP engineers. Well, Thomas was actually with Clariant from the very beginning. So he's with the company for 40 years, from the very beginning and early days of SAP up until now when SAP is running in the cloud. Well, unfortunately, Thomas was not able to join us today, but Cemik will take the full story and you will hear it firsthand how it was. Well, let us zoom out a bit and look at on the evolving manufacturing landscape. So where we are today and where is the manufacturing landscape evolving. So you all heard about the Industry 4.0, the Industrial Revolution. Well, the feedback that I got from several customers is that, yes, this is the ideal future, but they are still not there yet. They're still operating in the monolithic operations and the pyramid model that you see on the left side. Because they have different applications that have poor communication between each other. So on the top, you see the business applications, including SAP, but on the bottom, you see the shop floor with the sensors and connectors. The good thing is that this is changing rapidly. The IT and OT are converging, and with SAP running in the cloud, it's easier to integrate with the factory floor. The vision is what you see on the right side, which is the smart manufacturing, is the smart factory, and the smart factory vision actually is having a real-time event-driven processes, data flowing across the company, and machines, people connected with each other. But how do we reach this level? How do we actually ensure that the path to the smart factory? Well, first of all, by integrating SAP, non-SAP, your IoT sensors together and enabling a vision, a full picture over your operations. The second is leveraging AI and machine learning, which means predicting bottlenecks, creating workflows that increase the efficiency of your operations. Finally, de-risking your journey, because of course innovation can be risky, it can be scary, but together with our partners in the marketplace from AWS and the ecosystem, you can de-risk your journey. So we discussed about these 3 growth areas, and I would like to dive deeper into each of them so that you have an idea how it will work. First, of course, is the connecting operations and how IoT can actually create or transform this for you. I know this is a very interesting, it's a very interesting illustration, and I want to explain it to you by using an example. We are in mid-September. Oktoberfest is just around the corner. So imagine the amount of beer that needs to be transported to Munich. According to statistics, it's around 6 million liters of beer. It's a lot, right? But it's not only about the beer. Imagine a refrigerated truck that needs to transport the beer to Munich. So the sensors in the IoT sensors detect a spike in temperature in this truck. And beer, by the way, is highly sensitive to temperature because it can ruin the flavor. It can ruin the quality. So now we have the event, a spike in temperature. This gets transported to the intelligence layer where the transportation management, this component of SAP, gets the information, reroutes the truck to the nearest center where it can get cooled down, and also the beer can get some the necessary quality checks. But at the same time, the customer experience component of SAP updates the customer about the new delivery. So you can see that one event, one trigger, can actually be so automated that there is no person in between to take care of this. So this is what we want to show with this example, that workflows can automate the entire value chain, from the engineering and design up until the service and corporation. Look at this picture. These are our happy faces, and very proud that we actually implemented the concept in practice. This picture was taken at the AWS Summit in Hamburg this year. So together with the team, we built a pipe system that you can see if you pay closer attention. This was a pipe system because we wanted to do proactive maintenance in practice. Equipment failures can be very costly, and this disrupts the supply chain. Of course, this costs millions. So we wanted to show that it's possible to actually predict that something can happen. You see the pipes, they have sensors and IoT connectors that deliver real-time data into SAP about the pressure in the pipes. So if the pressure drops below a threshold, SAP will create a maintenance order immediately. Well, what is the value of this? The value is that a drop in pressure could actually mean a leakage in the pipe. And of course, you have the visuals, you have the dashboards, but the most important thing is that you actually automate the entire process and you don't have to look at the dashboard and based on some alert, create a workflow because it's automatically done. But we also want to take it one step further. I know this looks like a lot, but don't be scared because I will explain it step by step and you will see that it's actually easy. So we stick with the example of this smart or the mini pipe system that we build. On the top corner, you see the different type of information that can be captured, like temperature, noise, pressure. So in our case, it was pressure. All this information is passed into a data lake using the IoT services. Once they are sent to the data lake, a machine learning engine can actually combine this data together with other information from your company, like catalogs from your assets, service history of your assets, and different other information to actually predict if something will happen. So if an anomaly will be detected, services like Lambda or Glue, AppFlow can actually trigger an action. And as I said, there are different workflows that you can predefine. One of them are creating maintenance orders or notifying the engineers about something. And by just changing one minor thing in this diagram, so we included machine learning in the process, we are changing from proactive maintenance to predictive maintenance. Because we don't wait for things to happen, we can already predict that this will happen. And we can act before. So this time, in this case, also cut the costs and react faster. And I think we touched a bit about IoT and about machine learning. And it's the best time to make the transition to the AI. Because AI is the next topic that we want to tackle. And I would like to invite Corbinian to actually take you into this dimension. Thank you, Corbinian.
Thank you very much, Diana. Awesome. Hello, everyone. I'm happy and glad that you made it here. I'm Corbinian. Diana was kind enough to introduce me, so just a little bit of background why you should listen to me. Before joining AWS, I did 12 years at Accenture, where I led large-scale SAP transformations and IT strategy, and I also was a CIO at a large German insurance company. But now let's go back into the really exciting stuff, and what can we do with AI and how to help and move manufacturing to the next level. So just remember or imagine Diana, right now they found the nice pressure, they created the service order. Your company is like, very good, and you have the perfect guy who repaired this system many, many times, but now he's sick. Now you have to send your junior guy there, and the junior guy stands there and is like, looks very cool, but what do I do now? And that is what Kone, that you see here on stage, built, and is something you augment with an LLM, and with generative AI, you build a system that will help your junior person to fix this thing. You can interactively talk, or in this case, you type, and you have all uploaded all your data, all your maintenance data of all your systems into this system, and now the service engineer on the ground just asks questions, what can I do, how can I fix it, and you get an immediate reply. That helps, and we saw it with Kone, and I have also another example in Germany, which I just talked to like 4 weeks ago. With all the upcoming shortages of skilled labor that is coming in the next years, And on the other hand, very young people entering the stage. Sometimes all these manufacturing systems are quite old, right? I mean, you have them, you buy them and build them for like 20, 30 years to help up and speed and reduce downtime in fixing your services. It's also like for like what we did in Germany, the customer said, I mean, it's like, I don't know, in Germany it's called TÜV. It's a different company doing similar things where you get a lot of different technical machines in, and they have to verify that they are technically sound and you can release them to the world. And they also build this chat. Challenge typically in this case is that you prevent the LLM from hallucinating, right? It would be very poor if the thing says like, oh, let's open this valve over there, and suddenly you have a room full of hot steam. Yeah? So that was a big challenge around there. Getting this environment telling you, oh, it's not working, and I don't know what it is, please fix it yourself, right? Because, I mean, these models are trained that they give you an answer no matter what. But okay, back to our SAP. Order to cash. I assume most of you, maybe give me a hand if you can see it. Do you have order to cash in your SAP system? I see some hands, very good, right? It also was the first process I heard that we implemented back in 2002, order to cash. How can you enhance it using AI? Order entry, let's start from the left. People order something, right? You have your company, you get your orders in, enhance the order with an AI agent. That can be anything, right? One end would be you can compare it and do it with the materials that are on there, or also verify that the order is valid, right? I remember that someone got when a test system and they always were allowed to order only 1,000 screws, right? Now they had a test system and now they were allowed to order 50,000 screws. What did they do? In test, they ordered 50,000 screws for whatever reason. Unfortunately, there was a problem with the test setup, so the order was sent out directly to the supplier. Luckily, the supplier called and it was like, are you sure you want 50,000 screws? You have never ordered this many before, right? So we were lucky. There was someone on the other side that decided, okay, maybe this could not be in valid order. So that is something you can automate with your LLM and make sure that you don't ship things out, and then suddenly it always goes ping pong with things like this. Or enrich it, right? I mean, you have now a customer that always sends you something and always wants it ordered, and they just give you an address, but you automatically know if this customer orders, you have to ship it to Bay 8 of their center, right? And all this stuff, how you enhance the order, that it makes it easier to process for your team. Again, like also something like with export control, you could have an agent that is verifying that whatever you export, it's as within the limits, or it fits the terms and conditions that you agreed with this customer. Then if you continue, I mean, if you have the chance, I would highly recommend that you talk to your account manager and go to our mother company and look at an Amazon fulfillment center, right? The moment you look into like how we process orders, or Amazon processes orders, AWS provides the technology, and how they do stock management, and this is built on machine learning for the last 10 years. So if you're really into this, I would recommend going in there and have a workshop in one of the fulfillment centers, and it's truly amazing. I was there like just recently in Erfurt. That is currently the most modern and the latest of our fulfillment centers in Europe, and how they process parcels and how they build stock and automatically ship it. It's in the speed that is something truly mind-blowing. So that is something, it's all based on ML, machine learning and AI, and that is something how you can really like give it up to the next level. Okay, so predictive maintenance and everything Diana already talked about. Let's do a little bit of more on what you could do and give you some thoughts and some ideas how to enhance your manufacturing process. I mean, it's an LLM. They're very good with everything text, right? So go in, and use it when there are text. So we talked about you don't want hallucinating when you maybe have some technical advice. If you're in the design process, I mean, that's one of the great uses, right? You want something new. So let them hallucinate and come up with some new ideas, right? It could help you on the whole of the process. Again, back to text. It can easily check something like patents. Does it work, whatever you designed? Is there a patent out there that maybe is blocking this? All these kinds of regulations, all these kind of things that will help you to get through the initial design phases. If we jump a little bit forward, right, it's also sustainability when you do production. It is something like all the new regulations that with the EU comes. You can automatically do this with an agent that gives you all the numbers, all the CO2 stuff, reports it down and reports it out by also collecting all the information from your supplier, because you also need to bring into all these half materials that you get in, that they fit into, and you report something out that works on the CO2 stuff. Again, I mean, the more sophisticated it is with fulfilling your orders, right? I mean, the agent would now you have experienced people when they all retire. The agent could help you like slot in the right orders. It optimizes the production process in which order do you want to process which tool, so that you also have the change that you have in your manufacturing line is reduced. It fits into the schedule of shifts and everything around it. And then obviously, last but not least, in the end, it's again like processing everything on text and LLMs to make sure that all the documentation that always goes out is also in line and verified for the different countries and also adjusted, right? I mean, I remember that in the US, you have different formats that you need to provide some regulatory stuff and documentation, and it's different from France, and you can automatically translate it. And that is all the things that can report and will also speed up the process. So, thank you very much for listening. And Diana, back to you.
Thank you, Corbinian. Well, we already talked about two growth areas, about connecting your operations, and also Corbinian discussed with you about leveraging AI. And these were the two main growth areas that we discussed. But it's also important to know that in this journey, you're not alone, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel, because we have a broad ecosystem of partners that can help you de-risk your journey. And this is just a last wrap-up of what you can do with AWS. First of all, as I said, 90+ partners from our ecosystem that don't only bring knowledge about SAP, but also additional technologies like analytics, IoT, AI, you name it. Secondly, keeping the clean core. This is possible using the SAP build apps and BTP, because you want to keep your SAP lean and upgradable. And finally, don't forget about the AWS co-founding POCs, assessments, deployments that we can offer. And what does it mean for you specifically? Because if there is one key takeaway that I want you to leave with after you leave the room, is one step that you can take. Talk to your account team, to your AWS team. Speak about your goals. If you're planning a migration to SAP, we can help you with the strategy. If you're already in the cloud, let's use this time to discover any other potential for your company. IoT, agentic AI, and other possibilities. We can create a roadmap for you to innovate. Well, and Clariant is one good example, because actually, Clariant didn't just upgrade their SAP system. They also took it into the next level, and they took the next step into their cloud maturity. And I warmly welcome Przemek on the stage, because he will tell us more about their journey. Przemek, the stage is yours.
Hello, everyone. I hope this intro makes you a bit more energized. This is the last session for today, so I hope that will be a kind of the change of the mood. As Diana mentioned, my name is Przemek Muszyński, and I'm leading the global technology and operation at Clariant. I'm at Clariant since almost 5 years. I joined to lead the global data center migration. And before that, I spent quite a long time in Hewlett-Packard. I'm really happy to be here, so I can present to you our experience in terms of the SAP RISE migration, the operation, and the migration process. And also to mention, this is a very special year for Clariant because we are just celebrating proudly our 30th anniversary this year. To quickly set the stage, Clariant is a global leader in the research and manufacturing of the specialty chemicals. We have the headquarters in Proton, close to Basel, and we have a global presence on the chemical market. The 10,000 of our employees is located all around the world in around 70 production locations and in total around 100 sites. All the offerings and products we are providing to our customers are grouped into the 3 major business units, which is care chemicals, catalysts, and absorbents and additives. The business strategy of Clariant is led by the purpose: greater chemistry between the people and the planet. And we believe that as a specialty chemical company, also we are bearing the special responsibility to drive the sustainable change. The strategy is based on the 4 major pillars. First of all, focus on the customers. So we are collaborating with our customers for the common progress and the future. Second of all, innovation into the chemistry. That means we're accelerating the innovation in the market, in the business, in the products. Third is leading in the sustainability. So we are staying at the forefront of the sustainable change. And people engagement. So we empower the people to achieve the better results together. Now, the digital aspiration of Clariant IT is to deliver the best possible added value to our business through staying at the forefront of technology and through capitalizing the investment into the technology we've been performing over the years. We'd like to deliver this value through the digital enablers. So first of all, we have our Clarita generative AI assistant and future developments into the agentic AI. Also, we have S/4HANA transformation. I will mention more later. Cloud-based strategy and cloud-first approach, which is really important for us, and that's also the base of our partnership with AWS, and democratic data strategy in order to enable the database decision-making. All of it is related to the cultural shift and the agile culture that drive the progress and enable us to move quickly. Now, as you see, SAP is not only the crown jewel out of our system, which is supporting all our critical business processes. It's also, for us, a digital enabler. So we consider the future S4 migration as a really, really important factor that will enable us, through the automation, through the improvements, for the simplification of the business processes, to deliver the value to the business. Now, I promise I'm not going to get you bored about the 30 years of the Clariant history, but there are 2 historical factors that are quite important to highlight. As you can see here, the history of the Clariant is quite dynamic. So for the last 30 years, there was a lot of the mergers, divestitures, acquisitions, starting from 1995 and the spin-off from Sandoz. A side note, in 1997, we implemented our first SAP version 3.0F, so we are quite long with it till now. Then to mention the most important ones, in 2011, again, acquisition of the Sultremi. In 2022, the divestiture of the pigment and the master batches. Then finally, the latest one, in 2024, acquisition of the LMC. Now, each of those acquisition and the mergers were bringing another layer of the complexity of the business processes, the functionalities, the customizations. Every divestiture was leaving the legacy data for us and also was adding additional archival SAP systems we needed to create for the compliance purposes. Having that in mind, it is quite visible to decide on the preparation approach and also on the strategy. Should we go a greenfield? Should we go a brownfield? Or maybe we should go a bluefield at the end? It's not an easy task for us in this situation. And that was also one of the important factors I will mention later. Secondly, the Clariant IT team get a lot of the experience in terms of the SAP carve-outs and the migrations. So again, 2011, we just need to merge the system and the business processes from Sultremi. Then in 2016, we just moved from the data center that was fully owned and administered by Clariant to the service managed model and the data center in Germany. Next, the big major step is in 2022, we fully migrated to cloud, all our workloads, including the SAP, to Clariant Cloud, but was managed internally by Clariant people. In the meantime, also, we have implemented the AWS data lake on the SAP service, on the AWS services, and we ingested the transactional data to this data lake, as well as we started to work with the AWS IoT Hub just to collect the data from the manufacturing processes. So all the steps provided to the Clariant IT really, really solid experience in terms of the cloud presence, in terms of the SAP and the cloud, and the solid knowledge. And actually, we are really good with operating in a stable and efficient way our cloud. I mean, every single year we are able to do kind of the optimization. For example, we cut the complexity by replacing the third-party backup vendor with the AWS standard services. In the next year, we just cut a lot of costs because we implemented the stop functionalities to all the system. That means we are able to schedule to stop them for doing the weekends for the production and development environments. And with all of that, actually, you may ask me the question, why we decided to move to RISE? There are many points I'm going to explain. So we consider this step as a kind of the next step of the overall journey of our cloud maturity. So first of all, there is a specific SAP product license strategy, and for many of the products, there are functionalities which are more and more not available in the on-premise environment, for example, treasury. Then second thing is, as mentioned, S/4HANA decision and preparation was not easy for us, and then the RISE migration gave us possibility to make it in 2 steps. First of all, move with the private cloud edition. Second of all, later plan the S4 migration, which also we could extend a bit with the timeline, taking the benefits of the RISE offering. Looking from the financial perspective, we got a stable pricing level for the next 5 years with the contract, and moreover, we're even able to negotiate some reductions on the shelfware, which you know is not always or never easy with the SAP. And then from a technical perspective, location of the RISE cloud was in line with our strategy. We have the global presence located in Sweden, and also we could locate our RISE environment, or selected our RISE environment in Sweden, so everything was in line, close to our landing zone, and already covered by the network configuration we've been preparing in the past. Other thing is the consolidation of the services, right? So much less effort you need to spend on the orchestration, on the escalations, streamline governance. At the end, in time of the crisis, it's always best to have one single throat to choke than just trying to orchestrate all the other vendors. There's also the added value. But the most important, at the end, is yesterday innovation becoming the today's commodity. So what was the innovation in 2022 once we moved the whole SAP environment to AWS cloud on our own? Right now, actually, was not enough. We are spending a lot of effort on maintaining the servers, SAP databases, upgrades, patches, and actually all this effort does not bring any visible value to our business. So from the other perspective, we also observed the increasing interest in the new SAP technologies, BTP, Signavio and the process modeling and process management, digital manufacturing. All of it was on the spotlight, and actually Clariant, every other company, has no unlimited IT resources, especially right now, having in mind the current economical circumstances. So we need to ensure we are assigning our people in a really, really reasonable way to the areas that can bring the most of the impact. And actually, the SAP RISE allow us to perform this shift. So what was the project starting position once we started with the RISE? A bit of the numbers for the more technical, lower people in the room. We had around 13 SAP landscapes, then all of it contains around 35 SAP SID systems on 100 servers, 36 terabytes of the total data, 26 terabytes of the HANA database data. That was the starting point, but before we start migration, we just need to take one very important decision. What will be the scope? The list of our system, as mentioned before, was highly driven by the history. So we have a lot of the legacy application. We used to have a lot of the archival system. Actually, it completely makes no sense to move it just to the RISE as is. It would be not reasonable from the financial perspective, but also later there was a huge risk. We need to do some rework or replacement. Then actually, what we need to do, we just need to proper choice here. Among all these question marks, there was just one thing that was clear from the very beginning. So that means based on the expertise in AWS Cloud we have collected over the time, and also having in mind the great collaboration with AWS account and the support from them, it was obvious for us that we are going to the AWS as a hyperscaler for the target solution. Then we built the roadmap for all of our SAP systems, trying to understand over the 3 to 5 years which of them will be removed, which of them will be modernized, and which of them we assume will stay, and those are the best candidates to be migrated. Now, once we have that list, also we decided just to take the advantage of the way, we'll remove some of the old databases. So during the migration, we also convert for some of the systems which are in bold here from old ASE and MaxDB databases into the SAP HANA database. Based on that, we built the 13-month migration plan with the systems divided into 4 waves. The waves was mostly selected based on the dependencies. So all the dependent systems, all the interfaces were considered to be migrated in the single wave just to avoid as much as possible any kind of the outage or disruption. And once we have the plan, we started to realize it, and immediately also we find out there is a lot of the challenges we never had in our mind. Some of them were technological, some of them are operational. So not to getting much into the technical details, but actually having the hybrid environment, because still we have quite a lot of SAP systems kept on-premise, brings a lot of challenges. We need to deal with the timeouts between the two environments. We need to modify the operating systems, settings to have these timeouts mitigated. Also, we have the standard central file system, but was working as a kind of the, I would say, central place for the internal interfaces. Right now, this file system should be reachable from both RISE and from our standard Clariant network that was also bringing quite a lot of the challenges. And in the meantime, even we just needed to change a bit the RISE design, because originally there was only the network load balancers. We introduced the application load balancers. It turned out, without the application ones, we are facing a lot of issues with connecting the devices like the handsets or the printers in our warehouses. Regarding operation, first thing, you need to be aware that every single service request in AWS WISE can be only related to one SID, the system identifier. Here I have a riddle for you. That will be the answer on the next slide. How many service requests we have created for the last 6 months till today? Second thing is, the refresh of the test and development system was possible only during the weekday. For our business, some of the test systems are really important, so we align with them over the years, but for some of them we are doing the refresh only during the weekends to avoid any impact. That was also kind of the, I would say, difference. Then we struggle a bit with the PCA, the post-copy refresh tool, to automate it. And then also we learned that for the disaster recovery test, it's not so straightforward as it used to be. We could prepare and perform the disaster recovery test for the vital environments in 1 week in our cloud. Here, you could not do the switch from production to the standby during the 1 weekend. You need 2 weekends, and then also we need to plan it 4 weeks in advance. So that means at least you need 5 to 6 weeks to perform it, which is all fine as long as you know about that one. But we have already learned of it. Nothing really crucial, but the small points that may be really interesting for the companies who would like to plan their journey to RISE. Now, after the 6 months of the operation, actually, this is our current state point. We have a stable, well-administered environment. Here the answer. We created 1,300 of the service requests till now. This is a managed service. We need to be aware of the implication of it with all the pros and sometimes a bit of the cons. We did already a lot of the system refresh, updates, service requests, so I can say right now, after the 6 months, we feel we understand and probably operate with the SAP RISE. Now, looking from that position, what are the conclusions I could draw, but maybe interesting for the current users or the future adopters of the SAP RISE? First thing is, I already mentioned, carefully plan your scope. Take a look what you are going to use in the future, plan what you are going to decommission, and also bear in mind what is the roadmap for the SAP. So we are not going to migrate something that SAP is going to replace in the next 1 or 1.5 years, like, for example, SAP PI system. Then, second point is, if you have a complex environment like Clariant, then you can think about the 2 steps approach. Still, you need to be aware that there will be no simplification achieved. You buy the time, you move to RISE, but to gain all the benefits, anyway, you need to migrate to S/4HANA. Other thing is, once you will be staying on a hybrid approach like us, so you leave a bit of the systems still in your own cloud, then you need to be aware it brings quite a lot of complexity in terms of orchestrating and managing the system activities from 2 vendors. It is good to have a really good relation in the setup governance structure with SAP. Again, the managed service. You need to inform about the plans, about the refreshes, about the upgrades, about any kind of the crucial business activities you have. Otherwise, the communication will be broken. You may have some impact which is not expected. The other thing is the very nice advantage of the RISE environment is SAP Me Portal. So we are able in one single place to track all the parameters, all the requests, and have a full visibility of your SAP RISE service. And it's good to get to know how to use it and use it on a daily basis because it's really improved the efficiency. Now the last thing is, as a summary, just be aware of the managed service implications. It's not about the RISE, it's about any other managed service. So some of the things you did in the past right now will be much easier and you are responsible for them, but some other things will get a bit more complexity, and it's always good to know which group is important for you. What next then? Having right now stable SAP RISE environment, we are about to start the S4 migration. And then actually that will be the next step on the journey that will allow us to reveal all the improvements, all the automations, and all the value, and that's going to happen in the upcoming years. Having said that, thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Premir. I would like to use the last seconds to just ask you kindly to scan the QR code and rate the session. This would be very important for us. But also, please feel free to reach out in case you have any questions related to SAP or for Clariant. Here are our email addresses, and we will be happy to support you. Thank you very much for your attention, and enjoy the rest of the summit.
Thank you.